A very good morning to you. Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily. Of course, the hopes of Nigerians were dashed yesterday after the Supreme Court adjourned the hearing for the old Naira suit that was tabled before it. But here we are again to talk about things happening in Nigeria. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Janice Cobham. Good morning.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. It's a good day to rise and shine wherever you are. I would like to encourage you to be a part of the growing community and also make your contributions on the issues that will be raised on the floor of Rise and Shine this morning. Do so by following us across all the social media platforms. Like, share, comment. You can also do well to call us on the phone lines that will be displayed on your screen. You can also send us WhatsApp and text messages. Let's have those contributions and let's know what's on the minds of Nigerians today on the topics that we'll be discussing on the floor this morning. Good morning and thanks for joining us once again.
Good morning, Ria.
Good morning.
Like you said, let's have the thoughts of Nigerians. Very important at this critical point in our lives. The hopes of over 200 million people dashed because we're looking forward to yesterday's sitting, at the Supreme Court and the judgment that will be given afterwards, because right now Nigerians are in that place where they do not know what to do with all of the old notes in their hands and all of that. So it's really a serious problem right now. And we saw the kind of carnage that was wreaked yesterday across the country as a result of what happened in the Supreme Court yesterday. But I think that I would also say that there are other, state governors and state governments that are trying to get into the suit as well. And so it gave the Supreme Court a position where they couldn't go forward with the case anymore. But here we are today, to talk about some of the issues disturbing Nigerians and some of the major stories making the rounds this morning. And so we go straight to the conversation of what happened in the Supreme Court yesterday. Of course, they adjourned the suit filed by governors to challenge the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria to Wednesday, February 22. Now, the Apex Court said it would consolidate all the cases, stressing that all the states would abide by its decision on the matter. Now, owing to fresh twist in the case, a 7-man panel of justices of the court ordered Kogi, Kaduna, and Zamfara State to amend their initial originating summons to reflect the new states adjoined as interested parties in the matter. The panel, headed by Justice Inyang Okoro, equally directed the plaintiff to ensure that they file and serve all the respondents with the relevant processes before Friday, even as it adjourned further proceedings in the matter till next week, Wednesday. Now, this is where we find ourselves as a country. Like I said earlier, a lot of Nigerians at this point in time are in disarray. We do not actually know where to go in terms of what to do with our old Naira notes, owing to the fact that the old Naira notes is still what is majorly in circulation in the country, and even to get the new Naira notes is a problem right now. I had conversations with people yesterday and they said even in the banks, you go there and you can't find the new Naira notes anymore. So where do we go to from here as a country?
It's a question that a lot of people have continued to ask since, the problem of the Naira scarcity began to loom all over the country. And yesterday was more like a day of hope for Nigerians. Everybody literally kept their fingers crossed just to now hear all of these reports after the session that was held yesterday. The case, being adjourned without any definite progress in the case, as it were, to the advantage of Nigerians. And like you clearly stated, some more state governors have decided to join in the suit against the federal government on this particular issue. But it seems like, we are not making any headway, even with the questions that are being asked, back and forth since this issue came up. It still looks like Nigerians would have to battle with this for a couple more days. We don't know how long it's going to take. But I think the major problem that has sparked out of this issue is the fact that riots and protests are becoming the the in thing now every day in response to that particular situation. We found out yesterday when Nigerians eventually caught up with the information as to the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria actually honored February 10 as the deadline they had set for people to be able to take their own Naira notes to the bank and commercial banks and then exchange it for the new naira notes. We found out yesterday that queues were mounting up in front of central banks across, different states now in the country. We looked at like a place like Central Bank of Nigeria, Uyo. The whole place was flooded. Now the concern, you would think, is that Nigerians were actually keeping hundreds of thousands of the old naira notes in their homes, not knowing that someone might have just had a transaction the day before, maybe in some tens of thousands, and just because that money is no longer legal tender at this time in the country, everyone was looking for a way to exchange it. And of course, a lot of problems broke out of those places. There were riots, allegedly. So one person was injured, near death here at the CBN in Akwa Ibom. So you're just looking at other situations. Imagine how it is from other states and reactions. Those states was a beehive of riots. We have market women and all of those kinds of things. But so Nigerians have become reactionary in response to the situation at ground, and the explanation is more like, if the federal government has not heard and listened to the silent pleas of Nigerians before this time, maybe the riot is going to begin to bring the attention of the federal government to the plight of Nigerians. But this is the case where it is 22nd of February. That's 2 or 3 more days to the general elections.
3 days.
3 days to the general election. That's when we are expecting, that the Apex Court is going to give maybe a ruling or a new twist to the case. Of course, yesterday was a new twist, and I know, having conversations with certain people, and certain people were like, it's surprising that Nigerians would have expected, the meeting at the courts to turn out differently. It's surprising that we would have expected that there would be a ruling in favor of Nigerians at this time. But it's just, there are also problems springing from here. The fact that whether Nigerians can trust the judicial system of this country to defend the common man in situations like this against the federal government.
Well, I think I also had an opportunity to talk to a lawyer, to also analyze the situation of the Supreme Court. And what was said was that since there are other, state governors, joining in the suits. So at this point in time, we do not know if all of the state governors that are joining in the suit are for or against the new naira policy of the central bank. So it gives the Supreme Court, it puts them in that fix where they cannot deliver appropriate judgments, but have to adjourn the case to a further date where all of the complainants and defendants will file in their suit, so that at the end of the day they know that they are trashing the issue wholesomely, and not when they finish with this session, another group of people will come and say that they want to be part of the suit in or for, or rather for or against what Godwin Emefiele is doing with the new naira design policy. So it puts them in that situation where they cannot deliver judgments as it is, because other governors are joining in the suit and they cannot deliver judgments in that kind of position. So
yeah, we actually have 9 more governors, joining the suit, and there's been several reactions, from state governors, and usually this is how we now have different sides to the story, because we also had like El Rufai come out and say that there was no meeting between the governors and the federal government with regards to this scarcity, and they are filing to join the suit. So when you have the likes of El Rufai giving such information, it just gets in the way of, okay, who exactly? Now some Nigerians are like, who exactly do we believe? What information exactly do we swallow at this time with regards to these particular case? We've also seen Godwin Emefiele, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, meet with the president after the adjournment of the case by the Apex Court yesterday. So there's a lot of ongoing conversation. Justice Iyan Okoro of the Supreme Court had also mentioned in his citing during the court session, once you submit yourself to a court, for any kind of issue, you would have to wait for the process. So it's part of telling Nigerians, or even the governors who are taking the suit to the court, yes, you have brought the case before the court, you need to wait for due process. So, you know, all of the back and forth that is now involved in the case, you know, the courts will defend itself. That is part of due process that has to be
Now, my
adhered
question is even, and I asked this question yesterday. If the court has adjourned to 22nd of February, okay, and you're saying that we have to wait for due process, is the Central Bank of Nigeria not also supposed to wait until the court brings out a concrete judgment before they now say, okay, the old Naira note ceases to be a legal tender? Why don't we wait for the processes of the courts? Why now say that? And I asked the question, I said, was the order from the Supreme Court even honored in the first place? Because even from the 10th, you know, of February, where was the initial deadline for the old Naira notes to cease to become legal tenders, commercial banks had stopped receiving the old Naira notes. So it means that it was a flagrant, you know, dishonor of the order of the Supreme Court by the CBN.
Of course, we saw some conversations and excuses being made for the Central Bank of Nigeria in terms of they were not in the direct mention of the case. It was the federal government, and like your question is raising some concerns. It's actually the fact that has the CBN government, CBN becomes supreme over the system of the country as it were. Is it that there is no rule, there is no law at all in the country that can put the Central Bank of Nigeria, its systems and its activities in check? This is a concern at this time. If the Central Bank of Nigeria, its governors and the rest of them did not obey the injunction given by the court, what exactly are we handling in our hands right now? And I think something else that is very paramount at this time is the fact that we are looking at the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria is still upholding its stance and its beliefs, giving out the directives, and Nigerians are expected to follow. Now, when another angle that comes out of this is, if the Supreme Court is saying we have adjourned till the 22nd, what are their directives for Nigerians? What are they saying Nigerians should do with regards to money till the 22nd of February? Because it means now you have not given anything in your judgment that is covering Nigerians against the autonomous activity of the Central Bank of Nigeria. So it's not a win-win situation for the people that have taken the suit to court, or what Nigerians are expecting. There's no succor of any sort for Nigerians at this time. CBN is going on with it, because another reality is that when you come to the 17th, it means that they're also going to stop receiving the old Naira notes from Nigerians across the country. Of
course, yes. And I'm happy that a particular, senior advocate of Nigeria drew the attention of the Apex Bank to the fact that the order was totally flouted in the first place. And it makes some Nigerians also think that the Supreme Court is an armchair arm or judiciary, body where it does not have that capacity to carry out punitive measures against people that flout their orders. It puts us in a very serious situation. And of course, you made mention of the fact that it has brought about a new ray of protest, across the country. Carnage, people wrecking carnage on public facilities and all of that. And we saw the governor of Delta State, now Okowa, and the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Ifeanyi Okowa, appeal to residents in Delta State to remain peaceful while the scarcity of the Naira note is being addressed. Of course, I'm going to quote him now. He says, "We are fully aware of your concerns and the difficulties you face, but we strongly advise against resorting to violence, such as burning down banks that employ our people. Such action will only exacerbate the problem and could have far-reaching consequences for our nation." Yeah, we've seen protests, across the country, recent protests actually, because of the outcome of the Supreme Court sitting yesterday. But it's totally condemnable, because that's not the way to go in terms of trying to address your situation. But let's not also be insensitive to the fact that Nigerians have been pushed to the wall.
Exactly.
It's like you getting to your breaking limit. You can't take it anymore. Now, this is a situation where, you know, Nigerians had to go deposit their monies in the vaults of the bank. And now that they're demanding for their monies, they can't even have access to their monies. And you have people dying of, you know, starvation, people dying of health issues and all of that. I remember our guest yesterday talking about this same issue, you know, that people, we've not even spoken of the health complications or the health consequences that the naira scarcity has actually brought to Nigerians and all of that. So it pushes Nigerians to a boiling point where they cannot take it anymore. But the point is, wrecking carnage on public and private properties, burning houses, burning banks, burning ATM machines is totally out of the way. That cannot solve the problems that we are facing, and it's not justifiable in any way at all.
There is, you know, there's so many sides to this story. We also look at the fact that Shehu Sani warned yesterday that if, you know, this case continues the way it is, we are looking at the fact that we'll be throwing away, you know, the expectation of free, fair elections out the window. Now he's even coming from the angle that, you know, in support of not extending the dates. Now he's saying that if we allow the old naira notes to continue circulation and remain in legal tender, we should bid, you know, free, fair elections out the window. And now that will only be, you know, giving credence to the allegations of the fact that, you know, this money redesign policy has a political undertone. You know, it's basically those energies to fight vote buying and all the likes are inside. But, you know, information just reaching us right now at this moment is the fact that the president has just finished a broadcast, and he's saying that the new naira notes are going to be used as legal tender till the 10th of April. Okay. So this is a broadcast he just finished. I'm sure that we are going to keep expounding on that information even before, you know, the show finishes this morning. And, you know, several other, the news is going to come up later in the day. We'll have to look in and break down the information very appropriately. Of course, we'd have to go through and confirm the stories. But if the president has just finished the broadcast and extended, you know, the use of the old naira notes as legal tender till the 10th of April, we are just going to see that, you know, Nigerians are going to heave a sigh of relief all across the country. But again, it brings
me to the question of
why did we have to wait till now? Exactly.
Wait till now, where there's so much havoc wreaked across the country. You see, Nigerians always have a way. And that's why you always say that, why didn't Godwin Emefiele think through the process?
Exactly.
You know, before even coming up with a policy. Nigerians have agreed to the fact that the policy is a great policy, you know, as well as the whole cashless policy situation. It's a fantastic one. But why bring it now? Why bring it 2 months or 2 weeks to the election period? That means you have an ulterior motive. That means you know, you have an ulterior motive. And whatever it is that you have and as ulterior motive has affected a lot of Nigerians. We are talking about lives that have been lost. We are talking about properties that have been destroyed, millions of nairas of properties. I was trying to do a transaction since yesterday. Obviously, it can't even go because I'm sure that the bank that I'm using have totally shut down because of the havoc that has been wreaked, you know, on their properties for the past couple of days. So why is the president coming out now that Nigerians have finished killing themselves? Why is the president coming out now that Nigerians have, you know, have been killed by hunger and starvation? So it doesn't really make any sense at all, if you ask me.
It will look, you know, it will come off that way in the first place, because it looks like until the riots began to escalate across the country, nothing was done. Even in response to the Supreme Court's judgments, this would have been the president's response immediately after the first judgment was given.
Tell Emefiele to, you know, honor the order of the Supreme Court, because that was what happened. It was not honored at all. It was flouted. So why was it flouted?
Well, the judicial system would really need to look into the process with, you know, Godwin Emefiele. He would have to stand a lot of questioning, because there's a lot of I don't know what's the word, but there's a pomposity with which, you know, he's going around, you know, implementing this policy, as it were. Even to, I mean, I think we were having a conversation with someone that was saying you can't excuse the president for not seeing through the policy request brought about by Godwin Emefiele, because it's not expected that the president gets a policy document and sits down only by himself to read it through and accent to it. What of his cabinet members? What of his economic advisors? Were they not there to think through the process? So, like, I continue to hold that this policy is one policy that was not properly thought through, whether it's by the CBN as the Apex Bank, or even, you know, the presidency as it were. It shouldn't have. It's not a transaction that should, you know, in quotes, have happened just between the CBN governor and the president of the Federal Republic, because that will now show us, you know, explain why we are in the position that we are at this time. But it's really, really it's such a sorry situation, and the fact that people are beginning to lose their lives again on the tail of this. My problem with all of this is the fact that people losing their lives, it's not the federal government in court. It's still the common, you know, everyday Nigerian who's faced with this difficulty. So why do you come out for a protest and get to a point where you now have to be maimed on behalf of policies made by the federal government? It doesn't make sense. This is my thoughts. You go around burning, you know, banking facilities and all the likes. These properties, some of them do not belong to the federal government. Some of them belong to private individuals who leased these facilities to banks to use for their business. At the end of the day, you are not affecting the federal government directly, quote and unquote. You're affecting people's personal businesses. I saw, you know, like videos and pictures of POS, you know, cubicles being destroyed. How does that directly interpret the fact that the federal government chose a wrong policy? I feel like we need to learn to...
not a wrong policy.
You know,
the right policy.
Yeah, right policy at the wrong time. Yeah, you know, at this time. Why would you choose, you know, these kinds of destructions?
The point is, it comes back, you know, to affecting us as a people. Because if you destroy an ATM machine, trust me, you can't go to that ATM machine for maybe the next 2 months to withdraw money.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have to wait for the banks to put the ATM machine back.
And the banks can decide to now make an excuse of that.
You know, it's just like when we had the NSAS protest and a lot of carnage was being meted out on properties, and these are properties and facilities that you go to for public services. You know, and then at the end of the day, you're not even being able to use those, you know, facilities anymore, and you begin to complain again. It's just like of course the NSAS protest now, where people even had to wake up as early as 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to go and queue up because they needed to, you know, change their or get back their phone numbers. You know, when you get your phone missing or something like that, and you want to get back your phone number and all of that. So it's a serious situation. Wrecking Canadian properties is not the way to go at all. But it brings me back to the fact that you said something about, you know, the economic council in the country not also being part of the whole thing. I remember when this money policy started initially, someone like the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, said she was not in the know of it and all of that. So I think the federal government can do better, than what it is doing right now.
Okay, so we actually confirmed that the president has actually extended the use of the old naira as legal tender till the 10th of April. Now, it's important that when we have information like this, we make sure that everyone around us gets this information, so that it douses the tension in the society, because we're also having problems that, you know, even when the media gives information of what the federal government is currently doing, you're still going to go out in the society and have someone who's selling a small kiosk or some business or a transportation service saying, if it's not the new notes, we are not going to get. So as it stands, as of this morning, a couple of minutes ago, the President of the Federal Republic, President Muhammadu Buhari, has extended the use of the old naira notes as legal tender till the 10th of April. Now we have time as of this morning, because another case is, we're not going to look at where we now have, you know, okay, we have withdrawn the April 10th or that. But right now we have till April 10 to be able to use the old Naira notes as legal tender. But I think that's, you know, like basically it's around that particular conversation. Now, thankfully, now we have a new twist to the whole case, although there was an adjournment by the court. So let's look at how this is going to have an effect on, you know, the case when they get back to court on the 22nd of February. Seeing that the president has extended to April 10, let's see what kind of impact is it going to have, you know, in the proceeding of the court when they get there on the 22nd of February.
Definitely, and more like we also see how this is going to play out next week Saturday, when Nigerians strung out to the polling units to vote for their presidential candidate and also their senatorial candidates. But this is where we are just going to hang the boot on that particular conversation and go straight to our next conversation. Let's look at what's happening in Rivers State. Obviously, the G5 governors are up and about, and it looks as if there's no hope for the PDP family in terms of reconciliation processes with the G5 governors and the People's Democratic presidential candidate, as we saw yesterday that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, was in Rivers State, and he was heartily welcomed and hosted by the governor of Rivers State, talking about Nyesom Wike. We'll just take a listen to this video and then we come back straight into the conversation. Okay, so the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday met with Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State ahead of his campaign rally. Of course, he was met at the Port Harcourt Rivers State Government House, accompanied by members of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, barely 2 weeks to the presidential elections. Now, what does that tell Nigerians? You know, at this point in time where there is no going back to the G5 governors, you know, intention of not supporting their candidate of the People's Democratic Party?
Well, this is just a twist in so many ways. Now, sometimes, like Nyesom Wike would say, why are you people in a hurry to interpret, you know, this news or this information in a way that you don't understand? First of all, we know that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is heading to Rivers State next week for his campaigns there. So one would just expect that maybe he just went to have some talks with the Rivers people, not necessarily because there is an underground play right there. And but you know, sometimes we'll say that there is no smoke without fire, right? There's no fire without smoke. Either way, you know, you're just looking at the fact that this has some sublime, you know, connotations, especially because last week the People's Democratic Party campaign that was meant to hold in Rivers State was cancelled as a result of threats to life and insecurity and all of those things. So how come we can even have Tinubu go to Rivers State to first of all see for himself before coming there for the campaigns next week? It just gives you some worrisome undertone, you know, and we have a lot of people turn up there. We even have Adams Oshimole right there, you know, being visited the states with some strong elder statement in the party. One would just, you know, he had promised that in January he was going to unveil the presidential candidate that he's supporting.
His preferred candidate.
You know, presidential candidate. But this time, well, we are just left with speculations, in all honesty.
Yeah, definitely left with speculations. And the speculations are the obvious, where some people are saying that Wike should openly come out if he wants to support the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate. He should come out and say, this is who my preferred presidential candidate is, and not, you know, doing doing some kind of underdog job. You know, obviously Nigerians have been waiting for that moment where he's going to say that he's going to disclose his preferred presidential candidate. And at some point he came out and said that he did not say if it was going to be the first day of January or the second or even the last day of January. And he did not also say that he was going to come out on national television to mention the name of his preferred candidate, presidential candidate. So Nigerians are still looking and looking very intensely as well to know who exactly is the preferred presidential candidate of Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. But we're just going to hang it in there for now as we even go straight to Mary Joseph, who is going to be standing by for the news brief. And when we come back, of course, I know that the dailies this morning will be splattered with a lot of headline news concerning the new Naira note, and we are going to give you exactly what the president said that is going to happen between now and the 10th of April. So we'll just take a breather now and we'll be back shortly after the news brief.
As Nigeria prepares for the general elections holding from 25th February 2023, broadcasters are enjoined to make ethical reportage their watchword. All political programs shall observe the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code and other extant laws relating to broadcasting. All broadcasting stations must adhere to the principles of pluralism and ensure equitable airtime to all political parties or views. All political programs shall adhere to the general principles of legality, decency, and truthfulness. For the avoidance of doubt, the broadcast of a political campaign, jingle, announcement, or any other form of partisan party identification or symbol ends not later than 24 hours before polling day. Hate speech is prohibited. Be professional. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer Management.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
Lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
As of state and government, Secretary General delegates. As of state and government, Secretary General delegates.
Disasters being labeled Nigeria for Spectrum TV to improve for the lapses to county.
State and government, Secretary General delegates.
Disasters being labeled Nigeria for Spectrum TV to improve for the lapses to county.
A very good morning to you and welcome to your morning news brief on Spectrum, live from Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief with the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, as it has created a portal for the deposit of old Naira notes. The bank published a notification titled Redemption of Currency during check on the Apex Bank's website. According to the CBN, Nigerians can redeem their old 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira and 200 Naira notes while completing an online form. Away from that, following the persistent Naira note crisis that took a different ugly toll yesterday, aggrieved residents in different states of Nigeria, including Akwa Ibom State, trooped out in protest against the lingering scarcity of the 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira new Naira notes. Some commercial banks in different states, including Delta, Oyo, Edo, Ondo, amongst others, reportedly closed down some of their branches, with customers who still possess the old Naira notes stranded at parks, bus stops and markets across the country. They complained that the CBN's guideline on depositing the old Naira notes were too stringent and inhumane, while pleading with the government to have a human face and assuage the plight of citizens. In another development, the Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved the Electronic Cargo Tracking System (ECT) to aid the elimination of oil theft in the country. The Minister of Transportation, Maouz Sambo, disclosed this while briefing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Aso Rock Villa. Sambo underlined that the tracking system, which instinctively ensures the elimination of loopholes in the border operations and provides a boost to the federal government's revenue in form of duties, port charges and levies, is also expected to generate up to 235 million naira revenue for the federal government. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed optimism about the early arrival of materials and officials during the presidential and National Assembly elections scheduled for February 25. According to reports, elections in Nigeria have always been characterized by late arrival of materials, with electoral officials arriving at the polling units after hours of the official commencement of the polls. Heading now to the foreign scene, where Mexican President Andres Obrador has denied a claim made at the New York trial of a once powerful government minister that one of his election campaigns had received drug cartel money. An attorney for former security, Garcia Luna, who is accused of abetting the notorious Saniola cartel, questioned a former drug trafficker about the alleged $7 million payment. In sports, Manchester City returned to the top of the Premier League for the first time since November as they leapfrogged leaders Arsenal with a vital victory at the Emirates Stadium. The reigning champions turned on the powerful in the second half in the biggest game of the domestic season as Arsenal paid a heavy price for individual errors. That's on our news brief this morning. We'll bring you details of this and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine, where we have Janice and Riai on standby. Have a wonderful morning.
Disastrous day in Lagos, Nigeria today as Spectrum TV to recover 45 seconds to count.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has extended deadline for the use of old Naira notes to 10th of February 2023.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back. It's still Rise and Shine coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Of course, we'll be bringing you several information of things happening in the country. We looked at the fact that yesterday the Supreme Court adjourned the suit as filed by 3 state governors against the federal government in the pursuit of the policy on the new redesigned Naira till the 22nd of February. Just at the same time, around 7 a.m. this morning, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria addressed Nigerians, giving an order that the 200 Naira notes only continues to be run as legal tender. The old 200 naira note only continues to be run as legal tender in the country till the 10th of April. He has advised that both the old and the new 200 naira notes continues to be used till the set date on the 10th of April. At this point, we'll just head on to the rest of our conversations on Rise and Shine, and we'll be taking our daily spotlight.
Okay, straight to Spotlight Dailies this morning. We are going to be looking at some of the major stories on the front page of our national dailies, and so we start off with the Punch newspaper. Of course, the big story on the Punch newspaper is on the new Naira crisis, and it says violence spreads in states, 3 killed, banks burnt. The writer says violent protests rock Delta, Edo, Ondo, Oyo, Kwara, Benue states. Supreme Court maintains anti-deadline order. 7 states join legal battle. Sanwo-Olu, more governors threaten sanctions over old Naira notes rejection. You can get that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Amechi absent at Tinubu Rivers rally. You can get that details on page 20. Wike 4 others not relevant outside PDP. That's a comment there by the PCC spokesman. Details of that story can be found on page 7. Private sector blames fuel scarcity as inflation hits 21.8%. Moving forward, Naira, why APC governors rejected federal government settlement terms, says El Rufai. We also have all the stories here that says soldiers avenging colleague's death by killer cop burned station. Advance ordered to pay kidnap victim 233,000 pounds, which is 50 million naira. Marketers ignore federal government, sell petrol for over 230 naira per litre. Those are some of the stories making the rounds on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Okay, the very next one now will take Daily Sun as the next national daily. And the big story on Daily Sun this morning says Supreme Court overrules CBN as violent protests spread. 5 feared killed, banks, ATM, POS, political parties, billboard raised. Old Naira notes remain legal tender, says Apex Court. That story can be found on page 2 and 6. We also have here IPOB. Finland considers ways to address ECPA's activities. Concerned ever threat issued from its land. That story can be found on page 27. Sanwo-Olu warns against rejection of old Naira notes. That story can be found on page 6. Edo orders arrest of Oshomole over masterminding protest. Oh wow, that's a big one there. Page 6. Supreme Court dismisses suit against Abia PDP 3-man delegate list. State joins suit against federal government on Naira swap. Tinubu, Wike, APC leaders meet in Port Harcourt as party holds rally in Rivers. No intimidation will cow us to stop protests against EFCC chair, CSO's leaders. Page 6 is where you can find the particular story. FEC approves cargo tracking scheme for ports nationwide. OK's $53.1 million for electricity conductors. That story can be found on page 28. We also have here election. We are watching Nigeria carefully, says the United Nations. IPOB warns against attack on Igbo electorate in Nigeria. Page 27 is where you can find that story, and those are all the stories we have on the front page of the Daily Sun.
Okay, so that's it on Daily Sun. Let's go straight to our next paper, which is This Day newspaper. The big story on This Day newspaper says Buhari considers recirculating old 200 naira notes to ease pains of naira scarcity. And the writer here says, of course, to address Nigerians in a national broadcast by 7 a.m. today, which has been done already, El Rufai confirms option discourse with top government officials in out-of-court settlement move. And we also have Bayelsa Edo break banks with, is it break banks now? Or break, well, quite small letters. I can't particularly see that. Let's move forward now. It says case adjourned till February 22. Experte order subsists. I think that's the part that Nigerians do not seem to understand. Again, Buhari and Emefiele meet at State House. And we have angry customers attack CBN office, banks, ATMs in Edo State. Edo government accuses Oshomole of masterminding protests, riots, and calls for his arrests. We have stick to February 10 deadline, Shehu Sani tells federal government. And Tinubu, we need authority to change life for prosperity. Okay. And then the last story on this day newspaper says higher food commodity prices push inflation to 21.82%. And the writer of that story says severe in Lagos, Bauchi, Ondo, and others. Some of the stories making it on the front line of this day, and that's just that.
Okay, our very next paper there is The Nation newspaper, and the big story there says out-of-court settlement talks and Naira crisis collapse. Federal government governors disagree on CBN's claim that old notes have been burnt. Buhari to address nation today. Of course, that's already been done. We also have here 4 killed in Naira scarcity violence. Protest in FCT, 7 states. Tinubu urges calm over crisis. Of course, you see the stories on pages 2, 4, 5, and 25. Poverty is so awful, but BAT can push it away. Vote wisely, vote BAT. Okay, that's some APC advertisement there. We have here Supreme Court, old Naira notes remain legal tender. This is rather an issue because it's going back and forth with what, all of that information. So 9 states join suits, case adjourned till Wednesday, February 22nd. We have here punish PDP for reneging on power shift, says APC chair. Wike, Tinubu turned down PDP's offer to sabotage Buhari in 2019 election. APC candidate is the man Nigeria needs now, says River State Governor. That's on page 4 of The Nation. And we see here that inflation rises to 21.80%, says NBS. The last story here says APC PCC kicks as police invite Fani Kayode. And that's all the stories that we have on the front page of The Nation.
So we'll be taking our last paper for this morning, and that will be the Nigerian Tribune. Of course, all the papers this morning are talking about the recent challenges Nigerians are facing, which is a cash crunch. So rage, old Naira notes, rage in the streets. That's how Nigerian Tribune tags it. And of course, it has several riders. Protest rock Edo, Ibadan, Kwara, Ondo, Oyo, and Delta. Angry crowds besiege CBN office, protest inability to deposit even the old notes. And passengers stranded at NRC as NRC rejects old Naira notes. Supreme Court adjourns till February 22. Buhari and Emefiele meet again. Federal government contacted some of us out of court settlement, says El Rufai. Moving forward now to other stories on the Nigerian Tribune, it says not reserving presidency for any region. This is by Ango Abdullahi. And then another story here says court orders Evans to refund 233,000 euros ransom collected from kidnap. Okay, so I think those are just the major stories making the rounds here. Okay, there's also a story here that says Buhari and Emefiele Nigerians are gnashing their teeth obviously true, that particular story there. Those are some of the stories that we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. I think we've gone through all our papers this morning, but I think that the major story making the round seems to be the cash swap policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And this conversation will keep going until we find a lasting solution to what's happening. The president has just come up for national broadcast where he addressed Nigerians, and of course he's saying that it is only the 200 naira that can still be used, the old 200 naira notes now that can still be used as legal tenders side by side with the new 200 naira notes. So that puts us in a situation where if you have a 1,000 old note, you have a 500 naira old note, you cannot use that. But
and he has advised we continue to return those ones to the designated
but it's also in
centers.
contrast with what the Supreme Court is saying. The Supreme Court says you can use all of the monies, you know, in tandem until the proceedings in court has been properly concluded. So it leaves us in a position where that's confused state. We are still going to be in that confused state where we are battling with, you know, adhering, working with the information of the precedent that has been given this morning, or even working with that of the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
Surprisingly, there's also different interpretation to, you know, the judgment of the courts. Even sometimes speaking to different lawyers, you know, they have like different interpretations, because there's an interpretation that says that there is a gap in the judgment of the Supreme Court, as that, you know, when they had adjourned to the 15th, it meant that at the time the you know, the old notes could be used. Okay, hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Okay, we can't get you clearly. Can you step back from your television set?
Or totally reduce the volume, please. Thank you.
End of the morning, where using this code money, this April.
Okay, we might have to drop this call and call us back again. The whole back is strong. Okay, please do well to call us again if you can, but turn down the volume of your television set. The whole back is too much.
It's pretty too much, and it's distorting the conversation. Please, we need to have smooth conversations where we can hear you and you can hear us as well. But thank you so much for calling and trying to join in the conversation this morning. Of course, our phone line is open. You want to ask questions, you want to get clearance, or you want to make contributions to the conversations we are having, do well to call us on the number. Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
My name is Linus. I'm calling from Imote.
Fantastic, Linus. Go ahead.
Okay, please. I really want to understand the main situation here, because I couldn't hear you clearly because I just walked in and people have already finished the news. And what I'm trying to understand is this: is that 200 naira? Are we still going to use the 200 and the other 500 and 1,000? Well, we are not using it.
Okay, so what the president is saying is that you can just use only the old 200 naira note. Maybe you have to like go back to listen to the broadcast this morning, but it is categorically stated by President Muhammadu Buhari that the 200 naira note is what you can use alongside the new 200 naira as well. He did not mention that we can also use the 500 and the 1,000 naira notes.
Okay, I think we have another call. Can we take that one?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
My name is
Frank.
Okay.
You're calling us from where, please?
Yes, my name is Frank. Okay.
Where are you calling us from?
Yes, I'm calling from Port Harcourt, Bibo.
Okay. Please go ahead with your thoughts.
See, I don't know what the federal government are doing to us in this country. I don't understand. Like I said before, I asked our parents if they see something like this, and they said nothing like that.
Okay.
So I don't know why this is happening in our own generation.
Okay, thank you so much, Stan. Okay.
Now, the CBN instructed us to return the old note with hope that they will give us the new note. Now, all of us, we are happy that, okay, let's see how this may look like. We all rushed in massive, went to the bank and gave them our old note. Now, the old note, the new note, we did not see. We returned back to them and said, okay, well, give us anyone that's available. Both the old and the new, we did not see.
Okay, Stan, very quickly now, very quickly, big question. A lot of Nigerians are asking.
Returning more money.
Yeah, Nigerians are asking the same question that you were asking, but very quickly now, let's know what's happening in Rivers State. How are you guys coping with the scarcity?
The thing is too horrible. Like, the thing is like, it is distorted.
All right, thank you very much for your opinion. That was Stan from Rivers State. We still have more calls coming in. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
My name is Shiva from Makodi Princess.
Okay, you're calling from Makodi, but we didn't quite get your name.
My name is Shiva Bernard, calling from Benue State.
Okay, Silva from Benue State. Go ahead with your opinion this morning.
This policy is one among the best policies we were expecting years ago, but the implementation has a question mark. Because the way they handle this matter, in management we said there must be a unity of commandment. Now we are receiving instructions from different directions, different areas. Though they are all high-ranking officers, right? But the way they come out with the implementation, I think it's questionable. You put a lot on the straight. We are believing God that maybe at the end of everything we know why we are heading to. But now, the whole problem is this person will give another instruction, tomorrow another one will come from a different direction. I think the whole thing is just giving us confusion. It's not a big problem. Because look at the kind of stress. In my place, that's not big compared for the past 2 weeks thereabouts. But look at what I'm passing through now. After keeping us in trust of believing God that we are going to start a new beginning by tomorrow, and this is something that came out here again. It's surely worrisome, seriously worrisome, very, very worrisome. I think government should consider the common man because this policy is totally out of our consider understanding. We don't understand what we're doing completely. We don't understand none at all.
All right, thank you so much, Silva. Thank you. Thank you for your opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your opinion. We still have more calls coming in. Nigerians showing concern about what's happening in the country.
Okay, I think we'll just take this one. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tony. I'm calling from Benue State.
Benue State.
Okay,
all
go
right,
ahead.
Good morning.
Thank you. I think what is happening now is something that happened in 1984 that is repeating itself. I know people is saying that it is for the benefit of masses, but if it is for the benefit of masses, people are dying. The same 1984, my father was a civil servant there. My father nearly begged for food. The only difference between 1984 and this 2023 changing of money, the only difference is that civil servants, they are paying them. But in that 1984, they are not receiving, civil servants, they didn't pay a lot of them. And therefore, if it is a gift that Muhammad Buhari is giving to Nigeria, he gave us 1984, he's giving us in 2023 that is almost going out. People are suffering. As I'm talking to you, there is family that hardly they find something to eat in a day. And these are the family that have range all their money and go and kept it in the bank, and they have no access to their money. if we want to change it, let him change it because people is dying. Even this 200 naira note that he said that he will roll back to the circulation. How many 200 naira notes do we have? The majority of money we have is 1,000 naira and 500 naira.
Okay, sir.
And he's saying they are going to roll 200. How many 200 naira notes that they will roll out that will sustain Nigeria?
All right, thank you very much for your call this morning. We appreciate you for your time and sharing your concerns. Thank you very much for your time. Okay, at this point, we appreciate all our callers, and let's just, one of our callers had said there's a confusion around the, statement of the president this morning. The president has directed that the CBN should recirculate the old 200 naira notes and allow it to run concurrently with the new ones till the 10th of April. He has also directed that Nigerians continue to return their old 1,500 naira notes to the central bank,
I think we have
destined locations. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello, good morning.
My name is Mohammed Dambaba from Kaduna.
Okay, Mohammed Dambaba, go ahead. Good morning.
My contribution is this. I don't know what Mr. Enefele is targeting to Nigeria. Even if you are not, you are targeting to hold the 1,500 and 200 naira note. Why can't you make 100 naira down to 5 naira available to the people so that we can use it?
All right.
So people have taken their money to the bank. You refuse them to take their money back. You cannot give them the sufficient money to spend to make their life easy. And people are in suffering now, honestly.
All right. Thank you so much, Dambaba. Thank you for your thoughts.
Many of people cannot afford to eat in their house today.
Thank you so much, Dambaba. Thank you for your thoughts there. Obviously, I like the fact that, okay, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
My name is Abdullah Kanu. I'm calling from Kwara State.
From Kwara State. Fantastic. Go ahead with your opinion.
Yes. I'm a POS agent, and since this problem started, we are not been doing anything again. So what you want to know is...
You're a POS agent?
Yes.
Okay.
We do the POS for about more than 1 month now. We are closed our shop because we are not having access to the new Naira notes, and we don't have any access to the old Naira notes also. So our problem is that is the banks, is the commercial banks still collecting the 500 Naira note and the 1,000 Naira note. Are they still collecting them? We are not collecting it. They are not collecting again because there are people that are disturbing us here that they are having the old Naira notes with them, and we cannot collect it for now and take them to the bank. So we want to know, they should tell us that if they are still collecting from now till 22 they are talking about, so that we're able to gather the money because those of our people that are living in the villages have to take this money to the bank.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your question. Obviously, it will be answered in the course of the show this morning. We still have more callers coming in. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, my name is Mr. Friday. I'm calling from Lagos State.
Okay, Friday from Lagos State. Please go ahead.
Yes, madam. I don't know what is going on with this country. Emefiele and Buhari, they are just throwing us like football in this country. It's not really. It's not just really nice. You know, the issue now is they say we should return our 500 naira note and the 1,000 note to the bank. And the bank doesn't have money to return back to us to take care of our welfare. So how is it possible? Now they say that we should use only 200 naira. And the 200 naira is not even in circulation. How can a 200 naira circulate the whole Nigeria?
Serious questions.
So the thing is very, very unfair, madam.
All right. Thank you very much for your thoughts. We'll go ahead with more calls. Obviously, we have...
Thank you very much for your thoughts.
Thank you for your time. I think we'll take this one and then we get to answering some of the questions so that we do not, skip it. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please?
Okay, so we have to put down that particular call. There's just so much holdback and it's not nice for broadcast. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling
Hello?
us from? I can hear you. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
Well, I'm Mr. Udo calling from River State, Port Harcourt.
Okay, Mr. Udo, go ahead.
Okay, please. This whatever is going on, the people are dying here. We don't even have if you walk around, you don't even see out of 100 people, you won't see person having the 1 naira note, the new note. Sorry. And the only way we survive here is through this thing,
transfer
cashless policy. But another problem comes. We don't even have good network. Sometimes you buy something. When you buy something, paying the person, you have to stay there for about 2 hours for him to see the alert. I don't know what is going on. Nigeria don't have a good network, and yet they are going into cashless policy. What is happening? People are dying here.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Udo. Thank you.
Even this thing, commercial vehicles, they go with their peers, and this, for you to pay them, no network.
Thank you so much. We understand your concerns. Thank you so much. Yeah, I wanted to say something. Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling us from?
My name is Otto. I'm calling from Benue State.
Okay, please go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you. The issue of old Naira note and new Naira note is causing a lot of havoc here in Benue State.
Okay.
We have deposited our old money. To get the new one is a problem for us here. Unlike yesterday here in Otuko. Boys, Okada riders, motor riders, they want to be fair to buy fuel. They are rejecting old money, and there is no new one that someone will access fuel in the filling station for them to work.
Okay.
The filling stations, they are rejecting, they are refusing to receive collect transfer.
Oh, wow.
It caused a lot of problems that boys, angry youth, started protesting, burning fires all over the town yesterday. So the thing is terrible. We don't know what we are going to do.
Okay, thank you so much for calling us from Otukpo all the way and giving us feedback. Okay, that's all we can take for the calls at this time.
We'll continue to take the calls.
But let's just respond to a backlog of questions. Okay, let's take this call. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Do we have the... Yeah, hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Good morning. I'm calling. My name is Henry Obin. I'm calling from Ebonyi State.
From where?
Ebonyi State.
Ebonyi.
Go ahead.
Yes. So, what I'm trying to say about this morning is this. Because the Mr. President is trying his best, trying to change Nigeria to better. Because our politicians are packed this morning in their houses. And this is going to affect the election. So what I'm trying to suggest, in my own opinion, is this money should be going on like this. After the election, so that those people that pack this money that want to use it to corrupt Nigeria, they will not have to corrupt Nigeria, but both with their conscience. Only what Mr. President will do to circulate network so that anytime you want to transfer or do anything or any transaction, it will not waste time. So that everybody will be happy.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you so much for your thoughts.
Okay, so we'd like to continue to encourage you. Please turn down the volume of your television set just before you make the call so that we can have a smooth conversation with you this morning.
Yes,
Please do well.
I like the fact that, you know, the last caller that we had,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just made mention of the fact that even the network is not, you know, giving us access to do our e-transactions and all of that. But it brings me to a point where questions were raised yesterday. What happens to the village woman or the woman in the rural area where she has just 500 naira or 5,000 naira, you know, to start a small business, and then she's selling a little bit of pepper, she's selling a little bit of this, that, you know, commodities by the roadside or the small market in her community? Where will she have, you know, a banking system or even an account to do those e-transactions that Nigerians are saying we should do, or the federal government is saying that we should resort to, just because we are going into a cashless, you know, society?
A lot is happening. And just to answer the question of one of our callers that said he's a POS agent. Now, the directive from the president as of this morning says we can only use the old 200 naira notes as legal tender going forward to the 10th of April. It is expected that you continue and advise other people around you to return the old 1,000 naira, the old 500 naira. Currently, only the Central Bank of Nigeria location is taking this note. So it also means you cannot take those other two denominations, the 1,000 naira note and the 500,000 naira note, to any commercial bank and they will take it. You can only take it to a Central Bank of Nigeria branch in your state and other designated you know, points if they have given in your own state. And then you can continue transactions with 200 naira notes only till the 10th of April. So just to answer your question, we can only use 200 naira notes. 1,000 naira and 500 naira old banknotes must be returned to the Central Bank of Nigeria between today and the 17th of February. Okay, I think you have another call on standby. We'll just take that.
Okay, okay. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, now, you know what I wanted to say, right? I like the fact that we've had callers from different states of the country. Hello, good morning. Please, we are begging. If you know you want to talk to us on SAT, do well to reduce the volume.
Hello.
Turn it down. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Ibrahim calling from Bauchi.
Ibrahim from Bauchi, go ahead with your contribution.
Based on the broadcast today for the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari, on the issue of Naira redesign policy, the truth of the matter is the policy is very good and will enhance security, as the area said, and will reduce the leakages of money laundering and issue of corruption in the country. But the problem is the time and the application of the policy. That is the main problem. Because as we are approaching election, the policy is not supposed to be at this moment. Probably since the inception of this government from 2015, we exhausted almost 8 years in the 2023. Why is it the federal government doesn't apply this kind of policies earlier before now? At this critical time, which is we are facing election, and the issue of INEC, they need cash. An issue of electorate need cash. Issue of party agent, at political party, need cash at the moment, because you can't fund a political party, especially in the issue of election, without cash, because you need to pay your agent and you need to pay logistics and everything. But at this time, definitely it's wrong to apply this kind of policy. Probably maybe after the general election, then we can apply it, or before the election, like a year to election, then we can apply the same policy. But as we are seeing it, maybe there is something behind it. That is why the federal government introduced this policy at this critical time. Because the issue of this monetary policy has generated a lot of things. If you can take a look last week to this week, there is a lot of protest in the southwest and the south-south. and a lot of commercial banks were destroyed, which is definitely is not supposed to be like this at this time that we are facing general election. And they will have fuel scarcity too. So definitely what I'm saying is there is a lot of problem, and there is up and doing for the federal government to do to have a free, fair, and credible election.
All right, thank you so much for your opinion.
To the election.
Obviously, 9 days to the election. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So definitely there is a lot of issues on ground.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, like I was saying before, you know, I like the fact that Nigerians are calling from different places of the country. Good morning. What's your name and why are you calling us? Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning, we can hear you.
Hello, good morning.
Abubakar is calling from Adamawa State.
Okay, go ahead,
Abubakar.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead with your thoughts, loud and clear.
Okay, so Abubakar seems not to be hearing us, but fantastic. You can still join the conversation. The numbers are on your TV screen. But
of course, you can send us WhatsApp and text
you can send WhatsApp messages.
Please turn down the volume of your television set. Please turn down the volume of your television set. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
All right, please.
Okay, what's your name? Where are you calling us from?
I'm from Yobe State.
All right. Please go ahead with your contribution.
My thought is going like this, please. I'm begging government, let them do that 220. As far as they say that only 200 naira they will use. We are dying for hungry, and we need to bring that 200 for back. If you go, let us see that 200 naira. Any amount that you need, you can get it. We thank God for that. God can help us and sustain us.
All right,
that's what I'm begging.
Thank you so much.
That's very, very important. Thank you for your call this morning. Because one thing is for the president to give the directive that 200 naira notes should be used. Another thing is for them to actually circulate the money. They're two different things entirely. Please turn down the volume of your television set before you call us. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Yes, hello, good morning. We can hear you. Go ahead. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Okay, we'd have to drop that particular call. Obviously, he cannot hear us.
My name is John Paul.
Hello. Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yes, my name is John Paul.
Go ahead, John Paul. We can hear you.
Calling you from Edo State.
John Paul, please, can you turn down the volume of your television set so that we can have a smooth conversation here?
I want to find out why is it that when you...
We just have to drop that call, please.
Hello.
Okay, we would like to encourage you to turn down the volume of your television set. Please, let's drop that particular call and take another one.
Hello.
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 Please go ahead. We can hear you. All right. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. So I think that network is on the way, please. Maybe we should even take a breather so that when we come back, we continue with the calls. We'll take a breather at this point, but obviously the president is saying that the 200 naira can still be in circulation, and that was the broadcast this morning concerning the whole naira scarcity issue that Nigerians are facing. But the good thing with all of the calls that we have had so far is that the calls are coming in from different parts of the nation, which means that it is just all of Nigerians that are facing these challenges. We'll take a breather now, and when we come back, obviously, we'll continue with the calls. Do stay with us.
which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back. Thanks for being there. This is Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. We've been bringing you conversations of things happening in Nigeria. As of this morning, the President addressed the nation, asking that the CBN recirculates the old 200 naira notes, of course, also with the new naira 200 naira notes, but has asked that Nigerians continue to return the 1,000 naira and the 500 naira old banknotes to the Central Bank of Nigeria locations as mandated by the Central Bank. We've also been having Nigerians react to the money scarcity and the new information given by the President this morning. We'd like to encourage you, when you want to place a call across to us, please do well to turn down the volume of your television set. If you try to reach us and you cannot, do well to send us WhatsApp or text messages, and would also address the issues that you're raising this morning. We do appreciate you for your time on the show this morning.
Yeah, definitely. Let's just even look at some of the paragraphs that the President has talked about in terms of his speech this morning while he addressed Nigerians. I think the one that gets me more is the last paragraph, where he says is admonishing Nigerians to eschew violence and avoid actions capable of disrupting the electoral processes. He also says, I wish you all a successful general elections. Thanks for listening. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Obviously, still on the money scarcity issue, I like the fact that a lot of Nigerians are calling us from across the country, to share their grievances and their opinion on this particular issue. But a lot of people have also asked very pertinent questions like, do we even still have the 200 naira? Is it enough to go out in circulation to all Nigerians? So it still puts us in that spot where we do not even know what to do with our 500 naira, old 500 naira, 1,000 naira notes. And one of our callers said something that even in the central bank, they are not even collecting the 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes anymore.
I think he was referring to just not commercial banks.
Commercial banks
are not getting it.
Yeah. Okay, so you can also refund those old 1,000 and 500 back to the Central Bank of Nigeria. But I like the fact that, like I said earlier, Nigerians are calling us from different parts of the country. It shows that what we are facing is not just for a particular geopolitical zone. It cuts across all sectors. It cuts across all religion. It cuts across all people at this point in time. So I hope that the federal government will listen to the cries of Nigerians at this point in time. But again, I must also commend the President for coming out this morning to give some kind of succor, I would say, because when we say that let's recirculates the old 200 naira. There are people that have the 200 naira notes at home that thought maybe they couldn't use them anymore. So at this point in time, we can use the old 200 naira notes for our different purchases and transactions at this time. But again, yes, what's the way forward? Because we are confused. Nigerians are confused. The Apex Bank is coming up with the opinion that the old naira note still remains legal tender, while the Central Bank of Nigeria says that the old naira notes are no more legal tenders. And here we have the president saying that we can go ahead to use just the 200 naira notes.
The informations are really conflicting. Now let's take a WhatsApp message rather from Andy in Jaws. He says, good morning, presenters. The policy of new Naira notes is a welcome idea, but they will have to ensure that the new Naira notes are in circulation to alleviate the suffering of the masses. There should also be stable network for cashless transactions. One thing I'm happy with the policy is at least they have reduced vote buying, using of thugs to intimidate opposition, politicians deceiving people with money. We can now vote on credibility and based on your manifestos. Of course, this is Andy from Jos. We say a very big thank you to you for your contributions right there. Of course, great points. Majorly, most analysts have said this policy is a welcome development in the country. Timing and implementation strategy might have been the major problem that we are facing with this.
Yeah, definitely. We're still going to open our phone lines now. And of course, the number will be displayed on your TV screen. You can do well to call us and give us your contribution as to the president's speech this morning, and him agreeing that the 200 naira can still be used side by side with the new 200 naira notes. But Nigerians again are of the opinion that this particular policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria is targeted towards the election. We also remember that Godwin Emefiele from the inception made it plain that it was to curb vote buying. Okay, let's take our call now. Hello, good morning. Okay, so phone line still open. Please do well to call us, join in the conversation, and when you want to talk to us, please make your point very brisk and straight to the point. Hello. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Okay, I think network is getting in the way.
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling us from?
From Port Harcourt Road.
Port Harcourt. What's your name, please?
I'm Ogupin.
Okay. Ezenwoke. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to on this very thing that our president just said this morning.
Please go ahead and contribute.
Okay. I want to ask, this 200 naira of a thing that president said that we should use, is it not bring together with the 500 naira and the 1,000 naira? Why must it be exceptional?
I think that will be left for the president to answer that question, because
in his address this morning he said just as a way of alleviating the suffering of Nigerians.
Okay. And another thing is this: will this 200 naira be enough for the individuals to use? Because let's assume now you go to the bank to demand for 1 million, give you 200 naira, 1 million, or they will ask you to collect 20,000 or 100,000 and leave the rest.
Yeah, I think another thing we are not considering because of how scarce the naira is the fact that we have not yet noticed that the directive by the central bank for levels, how much
for limits,
we actually do not have realized that thing has actually started taking effect.
Of course, yes.
Because you get to banks and you cannot do transactions over certain limits, but the scarcity of the naira is not allowing us to even see that yet. But so that I think that will answer your question.
Thank you so much, Ezenwoke, for your contribution this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's allow other people have access to us. Okay, the phone line is still on your TV screen. Please do well to call us. And when you call us, please go straight to the point and say what you want to say. But a lot of concerns being raised in terms of how much the limit is to what Nigerians can actually get. Hello? Hello? Good morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Okay.
So I think another problem. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Anthony Moses from Plateau State.
From Plateau State. Go ahead, sir.
I want to talk about the small currency, about the odd 200 naira note that I've already picked it to bank. How are we going to get it to use it?
Okay, that's what the president is saying, that the central bank should recirculate the old 200 naira.
Okay.
All right.
Better do. It's better.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. So we're expecting that from today, once we begin to have our bank transactions and POS transactions again, we'll be getting, old 200 naira notes as the, and the new naira notes as the highest legal tender for the meantime until the 10th of April, Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Okay, so if you have a difficulty reaching us on our phone lines, do well to send us WhatsApp or text messages because we have a lot of calls coming in at this time. It might be difficult for you to get through. So send us WhatsApp and text messages.
Yes, just like Andy did all the way from Jos. You can actually send those messages and we'll get to, share them with everybody on sets this morning.
It's surprising to see that, the money scarcity is really biting and it's overwhelming at this time. Hello, Nigeria. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Good morning.
I'm calling from Kogi State. I'm by name Audu Salif.
Kogi State. Audu. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but what is my question is this? What is the problem of the governor with this money now?
The problem of the governors that filed a suit?
Yes, now.
Okay. Okay, is that all you want? Okay, go ahead.
See, because they are not helping us. I didn't think they end this money now. This new naira note now. So maybe the new one could have been coming out more now. But extending it, they don't allow the president to do what he wants to do.
Okay. Do you have an idea what you think the president wants to do?
Yes, now because the president wants to help the poor masses.
Okay.
While all these governors have taken all those money and keep it for their own use.
All right, thank you so much, Audu. Thank you for your thoughts this morning. Obviously, the issue of the old naira notes and, the cashless policy and the redesigned policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria has Nigerians coming in from this different perspective. Now, we have also registered the fact that it is a good policy, but some Nigerians are saying that this good policy is coming at the wrongest of time. Why would you be bringing a policy like this, when you're like few months to the general elections? Some people have also argued that, what's that I wanted to say now?
The deadline?
Yes, the deadline issue, right? That it wasn't supposed to necessarily have a deadline attached to, phasing off of the old naira notes. We've never had it this tough before. And this is not the first time that we are actually having, to redesign our naira notes. So why is this one different? We know and understand that whatever it is the president and the CBN governor is doing, it could be to the betterment of Nigeria. But a lot of people are saying of a fact that the timing is very wrong.
The timing seems to be the major problem. that we are having at this time, and we are going to wonder. One of our callers actually raised a point. When you say we should recirculate the 200 naira notes and begin to use it again for transactions, these 200 naira notes, are they readily available? Because it was the argument initially. Even if you want to phase out from 200 naira to 1,000 naira notes, why not just circulate the 100 naira notes effectively around the country? So the problem also is that all of a sudden our old naira notes are also suddenly unavailable in the country.
Exactly.
Why doesn't the CBN pump back 100 naira into the system so that we know that even if we have a daily withdrawal limit of 20,000 naira, someone can go to the bank, withdraw 100 naira notes for 20,000 naira as a limit, and be able to go ahead with their transactions. We don't need the long queues. We don't need the extra charges on POS, transactions.
Exorbitant charges.
Yesterday, someone bought 5,000 naira at 2,000 naira, and I'm wondering, where are you getting this money from, for those kinds of transactions? People are losing more at this time just to be able to, let me even have small money to pay transport.
And you can imagine someone that just wants to withdraw 5,000 or has just the 5,000 in his or her account, and then the person is paying an additional 2,000 naira. So at that point, the person, resorts to withdrawing just 3,000 naira and then paying. So the black market
there's a little bit of greed and wickedness attached to what POS agents are doing.
Of course, yes. It's not just about POS agents. It's even about us as a people. What about the commercial banks? We've heard stories where commercial banks are even selling these monies, the new naira notes, to politicians and to the elite class. So you have a situation where they are holding it. We've seen videos, right? They've gone viral, where the CBN is busting a lot of commercial bank votes and showing us that, look, it's commercial banks that are hoarding the monies. So we are our own problems at this point in time. Let's continue with our call. I think we have a call.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Good morning. My name is David.
Go ahead, David. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Ayobo.
Where's Ayobo?
Ayobo, after Yanopaja, you get to Ayobo.
Okay, that's Lagos?
Lagos.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah. So please, my contribution this morning is this. That our POS agents, the charges on their withdrawals is so annoying.
How much are they charging in your area?
If you want to go 5,000 naira, they are charging you 8,000 naira to 5,000. If you want to withdraw 10,000, they are charging 2,000. And if you want to withdraw 1,000 naira, they are charging 300 naira. So
if you want to withdraw 1,000 naira,
300.
Yeah, 300 to 1,000 naira. So I don't know. How are we going to survive with all these charges?
Serious questions and serious concerns, I must say. I remember when the issue Nigerians. Thank you so much, Ayobo. Thank you so much. Is it Ayo or David? Okay, from Ayobo. Yes. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you so much. But I remember also, when Nigerians raised the cry about POS charges, and the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, said that they were going to be arresting POS operators for charging more than they should be charging for transactions. And one question I asked was, how will they know the person, the POS operator in somewhere like Ibiakuran, to come and arrest that person? So when we are making policies and we're, coming out with instructions, we should also be very careful and, considerate about the implementation. How is it going to be implemented? So it's not just coming out to say, oh, POS agents, you're going to be, prosecuted, you're going to be arrested if you collect more charges than usual or normal. It's making sure that this instruction is workable. Okay,
I think it's just funny because when you think about it, even if POS agents are buying money from filling stations and people, maybe supermarkets, that are having transactions with cash every now and then, I believe that you buy 20,000 for maybe 5,000 naira from a supermarket or a filling station. So why are you now saying, if you divide 5,000, across 20,000 naira, it will not be 1,000 naira on every 5,000. It's greed. So if we were going to do 100 naira upon every 1,000 naira, it would be reasonable to say, okay, maybe because of the crunch and the activities we have as at now, let it be, 500 naira for 5,000 and all of the likes. But the greed is alarming. it's just too much. So the policy of the CBN and the encumbrances of the federal government is there. The greed of Nigerians in exchange for money is there, and so it just makes the whole system very difficult, at this point. But just as we went down the show today, the hope that Nigerians have this morning, given by the president, at least that is what he said in his speech, he's allowing this so that it alleviates the sufferings of Nigerians. The president has said today that we can continue to use the old 200 naira notes alongside the new the new banknotes, 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes. But please, Nigerians, continue to return your old 1,000 naira notes, your old 500 naira notes to the Central Bank of Nigeria, as commercial banks are not even receiving these notes. So go to the Central Bank of Nigeria in your state and make those refunds. Of course, we've heard the CBN says that there are systems and things you have to fill out to even be able to refund this money to them. So let's do so, and let's hope that there is peace. Desist as much as you can from violence and protest from your state. Everything is going to be all right. My name is Uyai Anek, and that's the size of how much we can take this morning.
I think before we begin to wrap up, let's just take our quote of the day, and that's how we'll say goodbye on the show this morning. But while the quote is coming up, we want to say a very big thank you to all those that called in. You all just made our day this morning. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your opinion, and also expressing how you feel about all that is happening in the country. It just shows that Nigeria is the only country that we have, and we have to put our hands on the plow to make it work for each and every one of us. Let's take our quote of the day, and that's how we wound up on the show this morning. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Confucius, philosopher. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. I think at this point now, I'll be telling all those, that, carry clubs and bottles and go to destroy things. Let's try to conquer the anger in us. Of course, that's what makes us the mightier warrior, instead of, going to destroy things out there. But it's a wonderful quote, and it's a wonderful show this morning. Thank you once again. My name is Janice Cobham. Do have a great day.
Of course. Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of our programming. We hand you over to Sports Central now.